I don't know. I want to say that no, you're not. I wanted to, I'm not sure. So hello, welcome to our presentation for this evening. My name is Joanne Gay. I'm a school social worker with Calvert County Public Schools. And we also have Dr. Holly Briscoe, who is on the screen there for you all. She's waving hi to you. We are, as you can see, helping your child manage big emotions. We're going to be going over the zones of regulation for parents. And we will also be, it's definitely fine for children to see as well. So if you want them to stay with you, that would be just fine. So a couple more minutes. We have about 3 or 4 more minutes. We're going to go ahead and start you guys off with a video. How many of you guys have seen Inside Out? my one person here said yes. So
okay, online friends, raise your little hands on this thing here if you've seen Inside Out. Can you raise your hands on this thing?
Yes, under reactions.
all I can see is
I still don't know Zoom very well. We got somebody else coming in. Oh, reactions. There we go. Oh, we got one reaction. Okay.
Hello and welcome. My name is Joanne Gay. I'm a school social worker at Calvert County Public Schools, and Dr. Holly Briscoe is another school social worker here in Calvert County. Welcome to the Zones of Regulation for Parents. We are beginning helping you to figure out how to manage your child's big emotions and maybe even your own, because we all have big emotions sometimes. So I am going to go ahead and show a quick video while we're waiting for more folks to join us. So enjoy.
I'm not sharing your screen yet.
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. I have technical friends here at the library.
We love our technical friends at the library.
Yes. So, hello, welcome to Zones of Regulation for Parents. Hi.
Hi, Miss Gatens.
Wonderful. If you could just give us your information before you leave, then we can make sure that you get the PowerPoint and things like that. Okay, so.
Oh yeah.
December 21st.
Friends online, can we have you go ahead and mute your microphones, please?
Sound. I share the sound, don't I?
Stop sharing and do it again. It might remember from last time.
Hello, welcome to Zones of Regulation for Parents. I am just getting going here. I didn't do it again. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, but I need to do it with audio. Share audio, I got it. Okay, a little technically challenged, but we have our library friends here and they're helping us, so I'm very thankful for them. So I'm going to go ahead and play our video. Okay, and here we go. So how do you think our friend is feeling in the video? How you feeling? I know. Thank you. And her name. Nobody can relate to this with their kids when they're doing homework. Nobody at all, right? Oh yeah, or ourselves, yes. of us in there either. Nope, not at all.
I'm just a little frustrated because it seems like I cleaned up everything so much on that.
I love that she's a girl. That's so, Okay. Ooh, sorry. Okay, so like I said before, if you're new to joining us, we have two friends in the room with us, as well as our very important library folks. I could not do this without. My name is Joanne Gay. I'm a school social worker at Calvert County Public Schools. I am at Southern Middle School and Plum Point Elementary, and Dr. Holly Briscoe is with us. Holly, can you say hello?
I am here. Dr. Holly Briscoe. I'm a school social worker at Calvert Elementary and Barstow Elementary. Please forgive my voice. This is as good as it gets. It's way better than it's been all week long. I'll have my tea just in case I start to lose it completely, but Joanne will jump in for me if I can't keep speaking. But thank you all for being here tonight. We have a great online group. It looks like about 19 or 20 people. And I know there were a couple more registered at the library. Hopefully they'll show up because this is going to be really great tonight.
Yes, it is. We are so excited that you guys are here and also online with us. And I'm sure you all saw that we are being recorded, just so you guys know. And we'll make sure that we turn it around so everybody can see you guys too in the room. No, just kidding. Okay. Technical difficulties here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is a little bit of a quick video about exactly what the zones are about. So this is the creator of the zones of regulation, and she has a child. And if you go on to the actual zones of regulation website, she does actual clips with her son. Hi there, welcome.
I'm sorry.
Oh, please, no, we have another friend that just joined us in the library. Yeah, we're very casual, yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this for you guys to see exactly what the zones of regulation.
Welcome to the Zones of Regulation. I'm Leah Kuipers, creator and author of the Zones of Regulation framework and easy to use curriculum that supports the regulation skills for learners from pre-K through adults. The Zones of Regulation uses 4 colors to help us identify how we're feeling on the inside and giving us a system then to pair all these tools that we explore into these 4 colored zones to support us in regulation. The Zones of Regulation curriculum has been adopted in thousands of schools across the world and is being used by hundreds of thousands of children ages 4 through 18. Whether you're new to the Zones of Regulation or a seasoned practitioner, you're going to find interactive opportunities for teaching and learning about the Zones of Regulation and extending this teaching to different age groups and populations here. Thanks and enjoy.
So Holly and I, Dr. Briscoe and I are going to share the PowerPoint with you guys. There are tons of resources. So if you want to take notes, that's great. Just make sure that we have your contact information before you guys leave. If you registered online or if you guys registered too and then just came in, we have your information, but I know you said you didn't register. So make sure that I just get your email before you leave. And we're just going to send it out to everybody so you guys have it. Okay, lots of websites, lots of games to play with your kids. I mean, lots of good stuff.
Okay, are we, excuse me, are we ready to get started? Okay. get my throat clear here. All right, so first we want to talk about, what is the zones? So the zones are, as you just saw, it's a method that is used to teach kids self-regulation. It classifies feelings and mental states into the 4 colored zones, which helps kids to identify emotions, to identify triggers to those emotions, and then it helps them to create some strategies to manage those emotions. It helps them to manage impulses as well as emotions, to improve their problem-solving abilities, and it just kind of helps them with that general understanding of labeling the emotions and what impact that feeling and emotion can have not only on themselves but on others around them. So it also talks about, we're going to talk about expected and unexpected behaviors. We're going to talk about emotions in certain situations. We're going to talk about a big emotion and a small emotion, and how does that match to maybe the trigger that led to the emotion? Was that also a big or a small problem that might have led to the emotion that they're experiencing? It's really important that we start out with a basic understanding that all zones are okay, because all feelings are okay. We have all feelings many times at the same time throughout the day. There's no good or no bad zone, just as there's no good or bad feeling. The zone that we're in is determined by how we feel on the inside, not necessarily on the behavior that a parent or a teacher may observe in the child on the outside. And so that's kind of a really important basic premise, that we just understand that whatever the child is feeling is okay. What we want to help them to do is classify where they fall in this schema and learn how to match their reaction to a problem and learn those strategies to help them improve their self-regulation abilities. Okay, I think we
So
can.
Holly, is it okay if I'm in 2 zones at the same time?
Most definitely. I was actually working with a kiddo today and we were doing lots of zone stuff. And he said, well, what zone are you in right now? And I said, well, I'm a little bit blue because I've been sick. Well, you don't look blue. And I said, no, I'm also very, very green because I'm very happy to be back at work. So it was a really good example of, I'm tired and it's hard to come back to work after you've been sick. So you feel a little bit down, but you're also, you're feeling positive and calm and good and ready to be, in your job and in your role, or ready to learn, is what we talk about with kids in the green zone. All right, so I think we go to the next slide.
So
Yeah,
these
there we
are-
go. Okay, so there's 4 main zones. You've just heard us talk about each one. So the blue zone, I'm just going to very quickly give you a very quick overview of what each one is. Blue zone is a low state of alertness or down kinds of feelings. You might feel bored, sad, sick, or tired. The green zone, think Goldilocks when it comes to the green zone, as your child feels just right. Emotions that we might have in the green zone might include calm or content, focused, happy, positive, proud. Yellow zone, your warning zone, just like your yellow traffic light, caution, slow down. Emotions we might feel in the yellow zone are anxious, frustrated, excited, nervous, or silly. And then there's the red zone. That's the zone where we see out of control emotions and behavior. So this is a zone known as the emergency zone. Although it's not necessarily all negative, it's important to keep in mind that just as there are positive emotions that can be felt at very intense levels, and we can see kids kind of get out of control with their emotions, that can also be considered a red zone emotion if they're unable to maintain self-control. So we might, be feeling angry or rageful, but we also might be feeling overjoyed and elated. Also maybe panicked would go here, terrified, or devastated. Those kinds of things would go here.
Okay, so I can't see the chat, but I do see that there's a couple of things in there. So our friends in the library, Miss Robin and Miss Jen, are watching the chat. If you guys have a question either here or online that you want to ask, please just feel free to kind of raise your hand. We'll try and wait till the end, but if somebody needs to leave or you have like a really pressing issue right now, if you just want to kind of pop in and say, oh, excuse me, what about this? We don't mind at all.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think the
so,
chats that are actually in there were exactly that, telling people to please put your questions in the chat.
Oh, geez, sorry.
No, you're good.
You can't see the chat. Okay, so as Holly said, the green zone is to describe when you're in a calm state. And we're going to watch a video about that. I'm not going to talk about it too much because they explain it. But this is mostly where we want our kids to be and also where we want to be. Because if we're in a blue zone or a red zone, we're not going to be able to deal with our children or anybody else probably. And has anybody ever been in a blue or a red zone? Yeah, yellow, yeah. Yeah, I love that. She just said I was at a rainbow today. I love that. I'm
Oh,
gonna
and that's perfect. We
Yeah,
might
I'm
need
gonna
to
use
add that.
Okay. Okay, so this video is directed for towards children, but I think it explains the strategy as well. So if you guys have children with you online, please feel free to let them watch it as well. They include some strategies. We'll go into those later.
This is Miss G. This is a picture of the zones of regulation. Today, we're going to be talking about the green zone. If you're feeling happy or calm or ready to learn or play, you might be in the green zone. Have you ever had a day when you wanted to explore the world? Or maybe you felt so glad but didn't even know why. Do you remember being happy because something worked out just how you'd hoped it would? Or thankful because you got to spend time with someone important to you? Feeling green can be so nice, but do you want to know a secret? The best part of the color green is that it's contagious. You don't have to keep your feelings all to yourself. When you share your green, you just might help other people feel green too. Maybe you could make a gift for someone. Maybe you could share your favorite snack. Maybe you could be a friend. Maybe you could use your words to help someone feel better. Maybe you could hug a loved one. Can you think of a time when someone shared their green with you? Feeling green is very special, and giving green to other people is very special too. Remember, if you ever have a question about your feelings, you can always talk to your teacher or ask to meet with a school social worker. I'll see you next time.
So I know that these videos are very relaxing, like all of them talk about the same. But the videos, like I said, we're going to send all of these out to you. So you guys will have the videos if you want to share them with your kids or your significant others or their grandparents or anybody.
All right, yellow zone. So remember the stoplight metaphor. This is where we need to use caution. It's where we're having, we're in a heightened state of alertness, but it's not always a bad thing. This is when we really want to, we're still in control of ourselves. This is when we want to pick a strategy and try to return ourselves back to that more calmer state, back into the green zone if we can. It might be, for example, getting a little bit worked up before a public speaking engagement. You can let that sit and it can become a full-blown panic attack, or take a few deep breaths, show up a little early, get things prepared, put those strategies in place, and we're all good. Thought that was a good metaphor for tonight. So anyway, let's go. Let's look at the video.
Hi friends, this is Miss O. This is a picture of the zones of regulation. Today, we're going to be talking about the yellow zone. If you're worried or excited or a little on edge, you might be in the yellow zone. Have you ever had a night when you were scared of the dark? Or maybe you felt anxious but didn't even know why. Do you remember being nervous about something you had to do? Or concerned about someone important to you? Feeling yellow isn't very relaxing. Here's the good news. There are some things you can do that might help you to feel a little better. Maybe you could take some belly breaths to relax your body.
So how to do it.
Maybe you could use self-talk to calm your brain down. Maybe you could spend some time with the people you love. Maybe you could make a list of everything you have to do and check things off one by one. Maybe you could have a self-care day. But maybe your yellow isn't going away no matter what you do. Everyone feels like they have too many things on their mind sometimes, and it sure can be hard to focus when your brain is full of yellow. So, if this happens to you, it might be a good idea to tell a trusted adult. Sometimes we need to spend time with the people who care about us. They can remind us of the good things in our life and help us to be less stressed about the things we can't control. You can always tell your teacher or ask to speak to a school social worker too. Remember, tomorrow is a new day and a new color. I'll see you next time.
As we're going through the zones, does anybody have any questions? Either here or at home? We doing okay?
I don't see anything in the chat.
Okay. No hands up or anything? Okay, so the blue zone, this is a low level of alertness and arousal. And also, as the couple of the other videos have said, and I don't want to keep going on and on if we're going to talk about it in the video as well, but you're just not quite ready to learn yet. So you're just not feeling just quite happy, ready to learn.
Hi friends, this is Miss O. This is a picture of the zones of regulation. Today, we're going to be talking about the blue zone. If you're feeling sad or sleepy or a little bummed out, you might be in the blue zone. Have you ever had a day when you wanted to just curl up all alone? Or maybe you felt like crying, but didn't even know why? Do you remember being sad because something didn't work out like you thought it would? Or lonely because you missed someone important to you? Feeling blue isn't too fun. But guess what? It's okay to feel this way. It's okay to be sad or disappointed or bored. You don't have to snap out of it or pretend to be happy when you're not. It's okay to just take some time for yourself. It's also okay to do something that makes you feel good. Maybe you could talk to someone about your feelings. Maybe you could watch a funny video or tell a joke. Maybe you could make your favorite snack. Maybe you could go outside or play a game. Maybe you could think about something you're grateful for. But maybe you just want to be blue today. Everyone in the whole world feels blue sometimes, and that's completely okay. The most important thing is that you take care of you. If you're feeling blue a lot, it might be a good idea to tell a trusted adult. You can always talk to your teacher or ask to meet with a school social worker too. Talking about our feelings helps us to stay healthy and safe. Remember, tomorrow is a new day and a new color. I'll see you next time.
One thing, I'm already doing some zones of regulation groups at Plum Point Elementary. I don't know if any of you guys your kids go to Plum Point Elementary, and you've possibly heard about me doing the groups there. But in the groups, I'm starting to notice that the kids know the colors, don't know the feelings that go into the colors. So trying to pick those, and I had them go to different places in the room, and some of them went to red, and one of the adults in the room was like, no, they don't feel that way. They're just going over there because they're friends. And I was like, hold on a second, let's see. So we went to ask them, like, what emotion are you feeling? And the teacher was totally correct. Like, she wasn't like exactly feeling that, but I needed her to see that. So not ever saying that anything is wrong about the way you're feeling, but trying to tease out what that emotion is, that maybe I am feeling more silly than I am angry, things like that.
Yeah, excuse me. I find that sometimes too, especially between yellow and red. Sometimes it's very hard to distinguish, nervous, for somebody, for some people might be a red zone emotion, but it's more likely a yellow zone because it's nervous, not panic. So giving the kids that emotional language with all the spectrum of words that are used to describe sort of the intensity of emotion, that can be really helpful. But it's tough for all of us, I think, sometimes to go, wait a minute, which zone actually is that in? So let's talk about red, because this is that extremely heightened state of emergency for the child, where emotions are they're not managed. You might see tantrums. You might see meltdowns. Think of a kid on a sugar high who can't stop talking and can't settle down. That could be a red zone type of situation. But it's important to remember that in this zone, we can't think logically. We can't access that part of our brain that allows us to think and to breathe and to come up with a strategy. So that's why it's really important that we're able to identify those other emotions that lead up to this level, so that we can implement a strategy before we ever hit the red zone. So let's watch the video.
I jumped a little bit on that, sorry.
Hi friends, this is Miss G. This is a picture of the zones of regulation. Today, we're going to be talking about the red zone. If you're feeling mad or terrified, ready to explode, you might be in the red zone. Have you ever had a day when you just wanted to scream? Or maybe you had really strong feelings but didn't know why. Do you remember being angry because something didn't work out like you thought it would? Or super frustrated with someone important to you? Red can make us feel terrible. But guess what? Being in the red zone doesn't make you a bad person. In fact, it happens to everyone. The important thing is that we're careful that we don't hurt ourselves or someone else when we feel this way. Here are some things you could do to cool off when you're feeling all fired up. Maybe you could start by taking some deep belly breaths. Maybe you could have some alone time. Maybe you could tell someone about what you're feeling or what made you upset. Maybe you could use self-talk to calm down. Maybe you could go outside to get some energy out. Again, feeling red isn't wrong. It's not okay if someone gets hurt though. It can be easy to do and say things that aren't kind when we're in the red zone. So it's very important that we pay attention and try to calm down. If you are feeling red a lot, it might be a good idea to tell a trusted adult. You can always talk to your teacher or ask to meet with a school social worker too. Talking about our feelings helps us to stay safe and healthy. Remember, tomorrow is a new day and a new color. I'll see you next time.
Okay, so those were all 4 of the zones. Does anybody have, oops. Does anybody have any questions? Any online, any questions? Are you guys still there online? Yeah.
So I've taught some of those coping mechanisms to my son, who's especially a 16-year-old, and I think he sometimes uses them as an excuse. Like we're like working on homework together, and he'll just say, "I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling stressed. I need to listen to music." I'm like, "Yeah. How do you just let it go? Okay."
Could you guys hear that?
No, could you repeat the question?
Okay, so what she said was she has a special needs 16-year-old and he is working with him with these coping strategies, and she'll be in the middle of homework and he'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so overwhelmed. I need to go listen to music. So, which is exactly what she did. So I think that what I would do is get a timer.
Yeah.
I would get a timer. And at school, we have calm down rooms. So when we set the timer for 10 minutes in middle school, and if it was that, I'd probably do 5 minutes. Because 5 minutes, maybe 7, you can get 2 songs in probably. And then, or maybe you could say, and if you give him 2 songs, depending on what songs you like, you got like, what is it, like a really long song, like a Led Zeppelin or something old.
I feel like I would almost make the homework strategy a different strategy than when I'm overwhelmed and I need music, because there's a lot of people at our house that are overwhelmed and I just need a little time for music. With homework, the homework strategy seems like, well, okay, so then let's take a 2-minute, like, I don't know, like, just like sensory shut out.
Did you guys hear that?
Sort of.
Okay, we had a friend that said that it might be good. She has like a lot of going on in her house. Correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm saying. She has a lot going on in her house. So when that happens, that she's almost like wants to do like a sensory shutdown kind of thing. Just let's take like a 2-minute break, right? Take like a 2-minute break and just kind of pause and
Like, if it's homework time.
If it's
then
homework
you're
time.
overwhelmed for homework, I feel like that just should have its own strategy.
oh, she's saying that there should be a strategy for homework that's different than say listen to music.
If you're overwhelmed because mom has guests at the house, that's go listen to music. But when it's homework strategy and you're overwhelmed by that, we don't have 10 minutes, because
Right.
it's not supposed to take that long.
Right.
So you have 2 minutes. So.
Yeah. And I have a child at Southern Middle who I worked with mom and we developed a calm down box for him. So he has a box that he decorated like a shoe box and he kind of wrapped it. And we're gonna be talking about a bunch of strategies too. But he has it like in the living room, and when he needs it, he puts like his fidgets in there, and he really likes to color. So he has coloring pages and pictures and things like that. And he picks a certain place in their house and they will go to that place in the house and that's where he'll sit. And that's what he'll do, what he needs to do. And then he'll come back and rejoin the family. And that's really worked for him. And I brought some of that to show you guys today.
I think I might also recommend that, when you know that your child is either using that I need my music, or when there's sensory overload, we know homework time is going to be a struggle. Set it up with the breaks already planned. So you know how long your child can pay attention, you know how long they can regulate themselves and focus and get something done. If that's 10 minutes, that's what it is. So you work 10 minutes on a timer and then take a 3 to 5 minute break on a timer. And you do want to make sure that there's options for that break time, but that it really is not a very stimulating kind of time, maybe, stretching to wake up. But I do agree with you do want to be careful with the screen time or the music as well, because we don't want to reinforce, but we do know that's the kid's way of asking, of saying, I need to check out of this for a minute. Yeah, so let's move on and we can absolutely come back to this conversation.
Okay, so this is some of the things that we're going to be going over. And again, you guys can read PowerPoints. So we're going to be going over. What I'm finding is that I think that adults are the same as children, that we don't always can be able to identify our emotions. Like, do you ever kind of get to the point where you're like, I don't know how I'm feeling? I talked to a child today and his parents are getting a divorce. And I was like, how do you feel about that? And he's like, I don't know. And that's okay. But he needs to be taught. What are those feelings that you might be going through? Self-regulation. Again, you probably know adults that cannot self-regulate. And do you guys know what self-regulate means? Okay, everybody's shaking their head. So I'm assuming that all of you guys do, so I'm not going to go over it. Triggers, we're going to go over that too. And triggers can be anything that brings on an emotion or something, whether it be positive or negative. And then coping strategies are all that we do. We've talked a little bit about them. All of the videos that we saw kind of highlighted some of those. Size of the problem. We're going to go over mountain versus molehill. Yes. We're going to see a really funny video about a kid who can't watch TV, and we see his reaction. So you guys are going to love that. And then expected behaviors versus unexpected behaviors. So if I walked up here today and I went, "Hi, how are you guys?" What would you guys do?
Might take a step back.
One of the ladies here said she'd feel right at home. And if anybody was asleep on the video, I probably just woke you up. So yeah, we'll be going over all that as well. So identifying feelings. Okay, so how does your body feel when you go over different emotions? You guys ever thought about that? Like, what does your body feel like when you're happy? And I know you guys can read, so don't be looking at the slides, but how does your body feel? Like, have you ever thought about, like, you know, like you're smiling right now, like, how does your body feel when you're happy? I mean, are you tight like this? I'm happy. No, can you tell that somebody is happy just by the way that they're holding their body? Like, how's their body? Relaxed. So you guys, they're not asleep. So you guys have it kind of bad because I'm looking at you, so you kind of have to answer me. So you guys online, get off of that.
Yeah, we're getting off pretty easy out here.
Yeah, you are. Okay. Sad. I had I did an activity with a child today, and we had shadow self, like talking about like negative self-talk, and then your superhero self. And I really love that visualization. So if you're sad or angry, it's kind of in the self-talk that we use can be almost like a shadow that kind of overtakes us, like a fog almost. And then when, you know, the superhero self is, you know, a bright light that kind of shines through us. And the things that you say in your mind definitely affect. I teach self-talk a lot, and I have to work on it myself. I mean, when it's cold outside, does anybody really want to go outside and go to work? No, it's hard. You got to talk yourself into that, right? And then angry, I'm always amazed at the things that kids say, how their body feels when they're angry. I talked to one child, and he said that when his heart races, that's his heart encouraging him and egging him on. So for him, that wasn't a sign of being angry. That was like a positive thing for him. And I was like, well, that's really cool. I've never heard that one before. So kind of talking to kids about this, it's really interesting to hear what they have to say. And then anxious, those butterflies in your stomach, you know, I'm sure that nobody can relate to that. I can right now. I'm actually doing better than I was, so let's go. Okay, so we just kind of went over this. So how would our bodies feel in all of these different zones? But this is something that we teach the kids. I did the zones earlier, and like I said, I was really surprised that the kids would just say, you know, I'm in green, but not know what emotion that went with it. So kind of backing up, and I'm going to create books for them. Actually, I don't have anything to hand out. I wasn't quite that prepared. So I'm not sure how many people are coming. So what I'm going to do is I have these little pages, and it says me and my zones, and it's going to be like, this is a picture of me in the red zone, and it says my face and my body. Clues are, I feel in the red zone when I am more likely to make others feel. So, and I'm going to have them have a book, and then they can kind of add to the book as they go through it. So I just have to print all of this out, since all the different zones.
Yep, and all of those handouts are available on the Zones of Regulation website. Some of them you can download for free, but you can also order the book materials and teaching materials.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so any questions about these? I see that we have some things in the chat. Is that anything that we need to look at? Or
I think I got it. Yeah, we did have one parent shared that she has to chunk her child's homework, and that's a really great strategy. It's kind of similar to what I was saying of, you know, work on a timer, but, you know, take the homework and break it down into smaller parts. Just, you know, kind of figure out the baseline, give, you know, 3 or 4 math problems, take a break, 3 or 4 more. So sometimes just chunking the work can be helpful too.
And it might be what you can tolerate too, right? Because if it's really getting you up there and you can't tolerate it, then you might need to do it or chunk it up yourself on a timer. Yeah.
I have a middle schooler who has ADHD. If I don't catch him when he gets home from the bus,
Mm-hmm.
if I even wait until closer to dinner, that bill is gone, and I don't,
Mm-hmm.
like, I have to catch him while he still has his, which happens to be his medicine, his
Mhm.
medication. And, yeah, so.
Did you guys hear that?
There's a possibility. Wait before bed, like some kids are going, my daughter, she's fine, she can do it whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She can do it in chunks. My son, we have to catch him. Once he decompresses, done. He doesn't, we don't, yeah.
You don't get him back. Okay, but you know him, so that's good. So that's perfect. So that's kind of one of those things where you have to know what you're working with. Like, I know when I can do certain things, and, you know, and when I just can't. I'm just done. I'm done. So, and did you guys hear what she said?
Not really.
No, I wish we had like a mic we could like handle it. I could pass around. No, that's okay. But so that was really good. So what she said was she has her son who has ADHD and takes medication. So right when he gets home, she launches into the homework because once he decompresses, he's done and he can't focus anymore. But her daughter can kind of come home and decompress and then do it right before she goes to bed, and she's fine with that. So it's just different kids and knowing what to do with them. But if she waited for both kids and waited and pushed both of them until bedtime, it'd probably be an absolute nightmare in her house.
Yeah, I think that's really important that we really have to know the little the strengths and weaknesses of each of our kids and know what works for them at what time and what doesn't, because what works for one is not necessarily going to work for the other.
Very true. Okay, so identifying triggers, and my friends here at the library definitely kind of shook their heads like, oh yeah, we know what triggers are. So an emotional trigger is anything, including memories, experiences, events. Mute yourself.
I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to say good morning. You just have to wake up.
I should probably hide my face too, right?
One of our friends just said sometimes saying good morning is a trigger. Like it's just.
You just have to wake up and scream.
So he screams like the moment he wakes up.
The moment he wakes up, and we just put him and my daughter together. So the moment he wakes up, he starts crying and screaming, and it wakes my 4-year-old up. And that's how she wakes up, is to him screaming.
How old is your son?
2.5.
So he's 2.5 and he wakes up screaming. So that's what she's saying. So
Rough way to start the day.
yeah, we're talking about self-regulation. So yeah, at 2.5, there's no self-regulation.
So that starts my 4-year-old.
So yeah, he shares a room with a 4-year-old little girl. So they kind of both start their day off, which probably starts your day off.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah, I bet.
My 3-month-old starts my day out. So.
Oh my gosh. You need some coping strategies. Oh, we haven't gotten there yet. We're gonna get there. Don't worry. We're gonna get there. And we're gonna send you home with a lot too. Okay, so this is anything that sparks an intense emotional reaction regardless of your current mood. So you might be able to smell pancake syrup. And pancake syrup, it makes this horrible memory for you. You can't stand it. And you can kids walk into the school and we're having upside down day. If you guys know what upside down day is, it's horrible. There's syrup, everything. And elementary school, I don't know who came up with the idea of upside down day. But but it smells like syrup. So do you know what it is? It's breakfast for lunch. So it's like French toast sticks and sausage, and there's like lots of syrup. And you have like little kids that go, it's syrup, yay! So it's like they enjoy it, and I'm sure it's very good. But if you don't like the smell of syrup, or it's a trigger for you, and it triggers something negative in in your memories, then you're all of a sudden kind of like you were talking about your day. You can be in a great mood, then all of a sudden you smell that and you're off the rails. But nobody knows that you've had that trigger. Okay, so emotional triggers that arise, you have your 5 senses, right? What you feel, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Okay, and this could be your emotional health and your physical health, and those 2 things are inseparable. We can't get away from them. So if we are emotionally healthy, then we have a more tendency to be physically healthy, and vice versa. Because when you're in the blue zone, or you're sick, or you're not feeling good, or you just had like a really nasty diagnosis, emotionally, you're not doing so well, right? It takes a little while to recover from that.
All right, this one's me. Oh, I like the way he pushes the bell. I didn't know it actually moved. That's cool. Just the little things make me happy. Okay, so let's talk about some self-regulation. Yeah, you can.
You ready for me to turn or no?
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, sorry, the bell was triggering her, so I had to change
the bell.
it.
Okay, so self-regulation. So self-regulation refers to the child's ability to understand and to manage their behavior and reactions and the feelings that they're experiencing. So how well are we regulating and managing all of the things that are going on in our mind and in our body, based on what's happening in our environment. And includes being able to control impulses. We talk about kids that lack impulse control or they behaved impulsively. That's part of self-regulation. It includes being able to calm down after something scary or upsetting or even exciting. Remember, we can kind of overreact to exciting things and become out of control as well. And it's about being able to behave in socially appropriate ways. So appropriate to the audience, appropriate to the setting and the situation. And they're really, really important when we're reacting to those strong emotions like anger, embarrassment, or frustration. So if we're not proficient in regulating ourselves and we have really strong emotions that we don't know how to manage, that's when we're going to see those meltdowns and tantrums in that red zone.
One of the cool things in this organization and in being in classrooms and teaching kids this, when they shift schedules every once in a while, especially in elementary school when they have collaborative planning at the end of the day. So the kids won't have recess until the end of the day. So their schedule's off. And they like shift to a different classroom. And so it can be fun, like they're doing different things. But we did a zones group right before this happened, right at 3 o'clock before they went out. And one of the girls said, I'm in yellow. And I was like, well, can you tell me why? She's like, I'm really nervous. Like our schedule's changed. And I really am feeling really unsure, even though I had listened to the teachers tell them exactly what they were doing. Like there was no surprises, but she was still feeling. And the teacher was like, wow, I had no idea. Like, so being able for the kids to say, hey, I'm feeling in yellow. I'm really kind of feeling anxious. Like, you know, I've been to that classroom before, but I really don't want to go. And like that kind of thing. So just knowing that a child feels that way, like if you guys are going somewhere and you ask them and they say that, you might not even know, you know. Oh, wait, did you want me to go to that website?
No, we're ready for our video. We had a Cookie Monster video, I'm just saying.
No.
We took the Cookie Monster video out because it was a little much, but he's still up in the corner of our next slide.
Really quick before I switch. So at the bottom of this slide right there, and I'm not going to click on it, but there's 120 emotional self-regulation ideas for kids with autism and ADHD. And it's not just for those 2 diagnoses, they could be for anybody. Okay, but that's something again that you guys can just click on right here and it'll take you there. Like, did you guys see? Oh, Cookie Monster's covered up. Hold on.
Oh man.
There you go.
We just need to see him. He's our poster child for self-regulation.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to work on kids on self-regulation, it is humanly impossible to learn how to self-regulate if no one has regulated you, which means we have to do it to them or for them first before we say to them, what do you think would help you in the future? No kid ever comes to me and says, well, I think I probably should think ahead, think about cause and effect language, how this might affect me in the future, and maybe I should make better choices. No kid ever says that. When you ask a kid a question, how do you think you should have behaved? Do you think that was a good choice? Do you think you should have said that to that person? They very rarely come back to me. They might say no, but they very rarely come back to me with, I probably shouldn't have said that. If I had really read the nonverbal cues on their face, I would have known that I was in their space, and therefore I was outside of my personal boundary, and I probably could have been punched. That doesn't usually happen. So we have to tell them, this is what you should have done, or this is what you should not have done. So along with teaching those values, we have to do less questioning and more direction. Stop asking kids, where have you been? Why aren't you here? Where's your book? How many times do I have to tell you? And tell them every single time what they should be doing. If we don't regulate them, they will never learn to regulate themselves. We spend too much time. I know about critical thinking, and we should involve the kid in the problem-solving process. That's all fine and good, except that a majority of our kids don't know how to be involved in the problem-solving process. So they need more direction. Why aren't you walking? Walk. Why aren't you in your seat? Get in your seat. Every time you want to ask a question, I want you to think about changing that into an actual statement. Tell them what to do. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another.
Yes, I think, that's a really good message. Our job as parents, as teachers, as social workers, as the adults in these children's lives is to model and teach. Some kids are waking up, tantruming first thing in the morning. They're not self-regulating. They're not self-soothing. And so we have to, it begins, we're going to talk a little bit more later about attachment and, collaborative parenting. And it begins in infancy. And through those really early years, right at 2.5 is one of those really critical times, is when we're modeling and teaching that by our own calmness, by our own, when we're rocking the baby when they're little. That's how we soothe them. Sometimes I find when I get anxious now, I find myself going back and forth like this. I think it's, kind of a holdover from when I was rocking my own babies. But think about that and think about, how are we presenting ourselves, and are we modeling and teaching what we are hoping that they're going to be able to learn when it comes to regulating their emotions. If they're always exposed to sort of that heightened response, that's more likely what they're going to also display. If we make a real deliberate effort to turn our voice down, to speak a little slower, to listen sometimes a little more than talk, those are all modeling those really good self-regulation strategies.
Questions, guys?
There was a comment that just talked about the.
Can you come over so they can hear you?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I can't hear, sorry.
Dr. Briscoe, you might see it in the chat, but basically when
okay.
we have different children, are there different levels of what sort of interaction they need and instruction they need? Maybe talk about that.
Yes, and we are going to get into that, where the developmentally appropriate strategies, like what's good for your 2.5-year-old might not be good for your 4-year-old. And like you talked about, your son has to do homework right away and your daughter can't do it. Like she wants to wait till later. So definitely, I mean, just like us, like right now, some people like, I don't know, like with exercise. Some people like to exercise in the morning. Some people like to exercise like super late at night. So I mean, I think kids are no different than adults. Like they are different human beings. So they're going to want different things, and different things are going to work for them. And I have some work. I'm jumping ahead. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that a little bit.
Strategies.
Yeah, let me just add to that a little bit. What might make me feel anxious may not make Joanne feel anxious, right? So I may need something different in a particular moment that she's not going to need. And so when we look at, kids, I'm one of 3 raised in the same household. We are 3 completely different people with 3 totally different perspectives on how we were raised. Even though it was the exact same observable experience internally. Remember I said that the emotions are internal. It's not what we observe on the outside. My feelings about certain situations that, I was brought up in are very, very different from the way my sisters may have felt. And that's just individual differences, that's, so we cannot treat each kid just because they're in the same family, the same. It might work for all 3, you never know, but we really do need to look at the individual needs and strengths and weaknesses of each child. I hope that helped and answered some of that question. And we definitely will be talking more about that. Okay, let's look at what the zones teaches us about coping strategies. So, there's strategies. I mentioned that you can, buy the workbooks and things on the website, and there's lots of handouts and things that help kids sort of classify what strategies will work best in each zone. So, some general strategies are mindfulness, the deep breathing techniques, the stop and think technique. Stop and think really is a strategy that you get kids to go, whoa, I'm stopping right here in my tracks. Mm-hmm. Let me think about what's happening right now in me and in my world. It allows them that chance to take that 5-second break to think about what's actually happening right here in the moment, and then they can choose a strategy. Certainly asking for help, taking a break like we talked about before, just changing the scenery sometimes. That physical movement, really important in lots of the zones, to help you. Sometimes it's going to wake you up. Sometimes it's going to slow you down. But here's another example of why not all strategies will work for all kids. Okay. When I get worked up, me taking a walk is calming for me. Me doing jumping jacks wears me out. Good thing for me. But if somebody else is all worked up about something and they go do jumping jacks, that might make them more worked up. It's going to get their adrenaline pumping, and they're going to be more agitated than they were before. So we need to know ourselves. We need to know our kids to know which strategy would be most effective as well. Let me see if I have anything else on my notes that I left.
One thing, Holly, with writing in a journal, since I work in an elementary school and a middle school, and now I have to pick it up a couple hours at a high school too. I'm running the gamut there. So cell phones, right? So writing in a journal, I'm having lots of kids say that they have their notes app and they're writing in their notes app. So,
Yeah.
and they might not like to write, because a lot of kids nowadays don't like to write, but they have that phone and they can just all of a sudden, jot down what they're thinking, like right, wherever they are, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
So that may be something you might want to, if you have older kids, that you might want to, and maybe even do yourself, something like that.
Yeah. I also noticed the new iPad, I guess, has a iPencil, and you can use it like just to draw and things like that. So that might be, something, buying those iPads for Christmas. That could be a good strategy for these older kids too. Okay, you can switch.
I was trying, hold on. Okay.
We love this slide.
We do. We love our pictures and stuff. We both have dogs. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
we
saw
spent-
Holly's dog on there. Did you see the dog when she was holding the dog? We
Oh
both
no,
have Shih Tzus.
he won't leave my lap. He's still here. He won't leave.
We
Making me
both have
hot.
Shih Tzus. We're friends outside of here too. It's kind of coincidental we both have Shih Tzus, but
Okay, so we're gonna talk more about size of the problem. This is a really, really important concept in the zones of regulation. I use it every day, multiple times a day, with kids. Hopefully before they hit the red zone, but it is amazing to me the perspective that children have, and I think adults too. If you're not conscious of, wait a minute, is this really a big deal? Is this as big as the universe? Do I really need to react so strongly to it? When we stop and think about really how big is this problem, then we have a much better opportunity to shift our perspective and to respond more appropriately. And it really, really helps with self-regulation. So we've all seen the kid who throws their body on the ground, kicks and screams when it's time to stop playing and take a bath, right? I'm sure you guys have some of those. They feel like the world has completely ended and you are the reason that their fun has been ruined. Sorry, I just covered up my video for a moment. But the reaction is really not appropriate to the problem, is it? This is a really small thing. They don't want to stop playing. They don't want to take a bath, but it's not an earthquake. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Nobody's hurt. Nobody's bleeding. It's just something that they don't want to do. It's really a small problem and their reaction was big. And so if we can teach them to classify the size of those problems, we can also teach them to regulate their emotions. So let's talk about for just a second what's big and what's small. So big problems usually require help from an adult, and they're hard to solve on our own. And they do usually involve, like I said, blood, someone's hurt, someone needs assistance, and is not able to resolve whatever the situation is on their own. Smaller problems are things that we can either just walk away from or ignore. We can find a simple solution to it. We can use our words. We can say, that's not a big deal, or, oh, let me go fix that little problem right there. So ask yourself a couple of questions. So is anybody hurt? Yes, big problem. Is anyone being bullied? Big problem. Are people being unsafe? Big problem. Can you solve the problem on your own? If you can, it's probably a small or a medium-sized problem.
Also social media. Do you guys have older kids? I know all of yours are little, but you guys have older, I know you do. 11. Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys are on social media, but kids on social media jump to 5. Like I had a kid today in middle school who somebody posted on social media, if you would at people, you guys don't know what that is. So you can at somebody, so you're tagging their name, and they're like, she didn't at me, so she's not gonna, mess with me anymore. So I'm not her friend, and screw her. And we jumped to like 5, like that. This was more like a 2 or a 3, and he could not see that it was a smaller problem than it was, because to him it wasn't. So
unfair to tell somebody that it's not, I'm sorry, I'm talking about, because I didn't get for you to tell me.
I wouldn't tell him that.
So, no, I'm just saying, like, for us to be like, is that really a 5? It's more like a 2, and it's like, but maybe it's a 2 to you.
Right.
It's a 5 to me.
Can you all hear her?
So, like, that just seems like even though the idea of is somebody hurt, or do you need an adult? I think with some kids at some ages, I don't think that's fair to kind of feel like there's somebody whose job it is to say, that's a 2, that's a 3. and it's
I,
like,
I definitely agree with you on that.
Oh,
And
yes.
what I would do, and I'm sure this is what Holly is talking about also, is I show them this. So, and with him today, I was like, okay, so where are you with this? He goes, oh no, this is a 5. This is like a major thing. So describe to me why it's a 5, like what makes it a 5? Like what, okay, so if there was a car accident, like what would the car accident be? Oh my gosh, that would be a 5. Okay, so
middle school, your friendships.
are very important. Right. But at the same time, like having him see though, that as you get older, that it's not the end of the world though. So helping him, because to him it was, but if he reacts to it as it's a car accident and a 5, then the whole entire world is ending and he's not going to be able to grasp how to handle it. Like the coping strategies are not going to be, he's not going to be able to access them like mentally because he's not there, because he's blown away out of proportion, which, and I wouldn't say that to him, but I would have him try and say, you know, okay, show me what a huge problem is.
So maybe, yeah.
And have him work through it to actually say, okay, it actually is a smaller problem and maybe it's not exactly where it needs to be.
How do you know if a 4-year-old is right now, everything is the end of the world?
Yeah, she's a girl too. So,
Yeah.
and I hate to say that, but, yeah, because my daughter was like that too. And, a lot of visualization. I saw a video where a girl was crying because the leaves were falling. She's like, but they're falling, and she was crying, and I was like, oh my God. Yeah, so just very sensitive, just very, very sensitive. So just being probably just very sensitive to those emotions and trying to teach her some more coping strategies. Like, and we'll go over some, and I have cards I can show you too, if you guys want to take pictures of them or whatever too. Like, you know, whether it's a warm, and we'll talk about more of them, but like a warm fuzzy blanket, or does she like, you know, does she like a weighted blanket or a compression shirt or something like that, a blanket named Pillow. Oh.
12-year-old boy, he's in middle school, you might even, and then I have a 4-year-old boy, and I am from the generation where, and happen to be married to a man from that same generation, where especially boys, but maybe girls in general, they weren't allowed to have feelings. So my worry that I get this issue
Mhm.
with my boys, I don't want to tell them, well, you shouldn't be feeling a 5. Because honestly, when you're in middle school and you feel like a friend left you out.
Oh my gosh. Right, but the thing, I definitely agree.
You take away from that, you're telling your kids you're not, it's not allowed, it's not cool that you have that big of a feeling. And then we raise these men or adults that don't know how to feel.
right, and that's
Don't know how
the,
to express it.
I think that's a great point. Can you guys hear her?
Yeah, I think so. I just want to chime in on a couple of things. I think I heard, point well taken. I think what's important to remember is we always want to validate whatever they're feeling, because remember, we started with all feelings are okay. So this, you know, sort of helping them to size the problem is looking at the problem, not their feeling. Their feeling is valid, whatever it is. But we want to sort of preempt, I guess, and teach, you know, when, and I know everything for teenagers is a big deal. They're going to have extreme reactions. That's developmentally appropriate. Okay. What we want to do is help them tease out what exactly happened and what are the components that they used to size it. They're not thinking about the size of a problem when they are in a heightened state of emotion. So it's really not something we're going to be talking with about that. We're not going to be talking with them about it in that moment. Usually it's going to be a reflective conversation where afterwards we're going to say, okay, you felt intense sadness when X happened. Let's talk about what it was that happened and what all of the components were that caused you to feel this way. And then let's look at this on the scale and see what really was the size of the problem here. In no way is that taking away from how they felt about it, but it helps them to be a little more realistic in looking at what the situations are and the sort of the external problems. So kind of in your mind, see if you can kind of separate out the feeling from the problem. And then, you know, once they're really good at being able to identify size of problem, there's still going to be times where to them, to their perspective, it's a big problem. And that's okay. That's okay. But what we've taught them is language and a way to be reflective about what, things that happen and what they think and how they feel. And we've also kind of taken them on this journey that will help them later on down the road when their hormones aren't raging so much and they may not be having such extreme emotions. They'll be much better able to size up situations as they get older. So I hope.
And that's the hope, because if we, adults aren't always nice either, right? Especially as we get older, just people aren't nice, unfortunately. So if I had somebody, at me, which I just learned what that was, I'm gonna be honest with you, just recently at me and say this a horrible thing to me. Now, if I stormed out of here crying and pushing open doors and all that kind of stuff, you guys would be like, what in the world is wrong with her? Yeah, because that is not developmentally appropriate for me to act that way. So the goal is to teach the kids that we work with that you might be able to do this now, but if you did it later on, and role modeling that for them and saying, just like what I said now, like, what would happen if I did that? They were, so when they come in with like half shirts on and stuff, and like booty shorts, I'm like, okay, how about if I come in and I'm gonna be wearing that? And they're like, you would never. I'm like, you are, and then they think about that. Like, so it's kind of the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I see that there was a question too.
Yeah, we have a quick question in the chat. It says, what about asking, does your reaction match the situation after validating the feeling? So absolutely. Once we're in a sort of back at that green zone level to say, hey, let's talk about what happened. I understand that you were feeling really, really angry. And so let's talk about, did that reaction match the problem that happened? That's a good way to start the conversation. I think.
And what can we do next time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. All right. Yeah. So, this is just a visual, are we making a mountain out of a molehill? Sometimes kids don't know, what that actually means. So this is a nice visual. And it just kind of helps us think about, there are lots, I know I overreact to things, a lot. And it's because in that moment, before I had a chance to think, I felt. And that primitive part of your brain can really take over. And if we behave based on that, we might develop an extreme reaction.
And I talk to kids too about, like, when they first come in and they're, something's going on, the first thing I say to them is, did you eat breakfast? And if they say no, then, we go right off to the cafeteria and we get them something to eat, and then second, did you eat lunch? How did you sleep last night? Did you get any sleep last night? And they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't sleep at all. I mean, those are cues to why we just, something was much bigger than it really, than maybe it wouldn't have been. Exactly. And we find that a lot. Okay. You guys are going to love this video. Okay. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to watch this whole thing, Holly. I'm just being honest. Watch this report. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to. Okay.
You can pick up that whole thing now. Josh, all I was asking you to do was pick up those 3 parts. All I asked you to do is pick up those 3 parts. And so now you can pick up the whole thing. You can pick up the whole thing now. You don't get to watch TV. No. Josh, stop.
I want to watch TV. I want to watch TV. I want to watch TV. And I don't get to watch TV.
Yeah, because
oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
No, you don't. Stop.
Yes, I do.
Stop. Josh,
I won't shut up.
I didn't tell you to shut up.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. I asked you to stop. I asked you to stop. I never told you to shut up. All I asked you to do was pick up those 3 little pieces.
I will watch TV and I don't. I don't get respect from you.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
It doesn't seem like I get.
I don't.
No, it doesn't seem like I get respect.
Jerk.
I can be a big jerk. Yes, I can. But it doesn't seem like I get respect from you. Because what you just did, I don't think you get to watch TV.
Yes, I do. My dad
Yeah, and you're not at your dad's house.
Shut up!
Yeah, and you yell at me for telling you to shut up, so you tell me to shut up. I didn't even tell you to shut up and you yelled at me.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. I told you to stop.
Why would you shut up?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, so what somebody here just said was you're trying to like have a logical conversation with an illogical person. And just to
Absolutely.
and if it was an adult and the adult was yelling and screaming, you wouldn't have a conversation. So we're not saying that it was a good, we're just saying that that was just, the size of the problem and the lack of self-regulation. That was just a good kind of example of that.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah,
So
we don't even really know what triggered any of that. We just know that he got mad and started just throwing things.
Yeah.
Did anybody notice the little kid on the sofa?
Mhm.
He was just laying there calm as anything, just quiet, not
We're talking
responding.
about two different kids,
My daughter's not to that extreme.
Can you guys hear? Yes or no?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, so she's not to that extreme, but it's similar. My son will sit there and watch her melt down and throw fits. And my son is the kid on the couch. My daughter is the boy that is not that extreme, but she is screaming and yelling. Yeah, but you should watch, but your son will watch it. If it works for her. But it's like, my dad's advice is to wear her butt out.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, so teach.
I tried it.
Yeah, so teaching.
Control their anger by being angry as well. And I'm like,
Yeah.
my husband doesn't want to spank. He will when it's life or death. Like if she runs out into the street, he will explain to her, you're getting punished because of this. But the spanking is not working for her at all. I can
It doesn't work. Yeah.
hurt my hand spanking her, and she will still scream and cry and throw a fit in 5 minutes because she didn't get her way, or she got told no, or something like that. I don't like. Daniel Tiger takes a deep breath. She reacts to that.
Good.
She does react to that. She does.
The Daniel Tiger books is what you're talking about.
For what I'm reading this book today, how we dinosaurs say I'm back. I just read this to my kids. You should check this out when I return.
So one of the moms here said, what is it called?
It's how do dinosaurs say I'm mad?
How do dinosaurs say I'm mad?
In the beginning of it, it's really like, do they do this? Do they throw things? Do they hit mom? Do they break stuff? And at the end, they're like, no, they don't. They count to 10. They do.
Talks about coping strategies and appropriate and inappropriate ways to handle our feelings and things like that. So I think that you're finding, so that shows that your daughter's able to try something and it is working for her. So and that's going to be her way of self-regulating and starting to get some of those coping skills and strategies.
What would have been the best thing for that parent to do?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Do you want to take this or do you want me to?
Well, let me throw a question back to the group.
Okay.
We talked a little while ago about when your child is in the red zone, can they access the thinking part of their brain?
And
They
that's,
really
a lot
can't.
of them said that here.
Yeah, they really can't. So mom she's staying calm. I think she's modeling, at least in the beginning, a calm voice, but she's engaged in a power struggle. And unfortunately, she's trying to negotiate and trying to calm him down, trying to have logical conversation with a child that is not able to really have any logical thought. In that moment, you want to secure the environment. And I know a lot of parents are like, I can't ignore that. I can't. You can. And honestly, as long as he is not harming himself, it's probably not going to last very long because he hasn't gotten the attention that he was wanting from it. When he is, and you can say, when you are calm, we will talk. When you are calm, we will talk. And so you're modeling that calmness, but you're not engaging in the power struggle with the child. You're also there as a calming presence. So you could sit down on the sofa, stay out of the line of fire. You could stand at the corner. I wouldn't be videoing my child. Clearly that's giving a different reinforcement. But being present allows the child to feel safe. So think about times when, over the course of your life, you felt out of control. Many of those times you probably did not feel safe. And what we need sometimes is just a safe presence so that we can find a way to soothe ourselves, to bring ourselves down. And as soon as you see that bubble burst and they kind of start to come back down, that's when you want to be really deliberate about modeling deep breathing. So if you're standing there or sitting there, just saying, I'm going to take a few deep breaths right now and just, can you do that with me? And as they're coming down, you can start to kind of co-regulate with them. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But that is, it's meeting that expectation of modeling, but it's also teaching a strategy at the same time.
So my daughter will do the breathing with me, but she flat out tells my husband, no, I breathe with mom.
That's kind of because she's so young still. So, and I mean, my daughter wouldn't go anywhere with anybody else except for me for a little while. And that's that separation and attachment issues at developmentally appropriate times. So I think she'll, as long as your husband maybe does it with you, maybe the two of you do it with her together. So she kind of, and then maybe, oh, I'm sorry, I'm with your brother right now. Daddy did it with you last time with all three of us together. So now it's his turn, and just try different things until she's more comfortable. Because are you the one that's with her mostly?
All day.
Yeah.
Dad goes to he turned up and down, and he's like, you know what, babe, whatever, I feel like I need some breathing exercise. Could you do those and can you show me how you and mom do it?
Yeah.
Like, but as far as what she said about attention, because my 12-year-old boy, my 14-year-old daughter, he will pick at her, and he would do something like that and make mountains out of molehills. And I tell her all the time, any attention, when you want attention, is attention.
Yep.
Whether it's positive or negative. So whether you're yelling at him or fighting with him or talking and laughing with him, you're interacting with him, and that's what he wants from you in that moment. So what I would have done with that little boy was, hey, when you have a second, come over here, let's cuddle on the couch, we'll hug and we'll breathe together. Because that's probably all that he wanted was attention, and she's going back and forth with it, and she's feeding it. And that's why he just kept going. And then that other little person watching, probably over there taking notes. Like, so.
You see what works.
Kids have different mannerisms and different personalities, but eventually kids figure out what works.
Yeah, I agree. I see some stuff in the chat.
Yeah, so one of our parents said that Daniel Tiger has a parent app that shows songs for feelings and events in a child's life, and that her kids. Yep. So everybody download that Daniel Tiger app. We probably really need to move on. I think we're cutting it a little close here.
Oh geez, yes, we only have 45 minutes left.
Yeah.
Okay, so expected versus unexpected behaviors. So we talked about this a little bit earlier with if I would have walked in here and been speaking very loud, if I would have come in here skipping, like we're gonna, and I guess you guys, it's almost Christmas time, this is very appropriate. We would have done this in the summertime too, because Holly and I also love this movie. But he does lots of unexpected behaviors. So I'm gonna ask you guys at the end of this, what his unexpected behaviors were and what you expected him to do, or what we as in society would have expected him to do.
Don't you know each cloud contains banners from heaven? Hello. You'll find your fortune falling all over town. Be sure that your umbrella is upside down, and trading for a package of sunshine and ravioli. Macaroni, if you want the thing you love.
You did it! Congratulations! World's best cup of coffee. Great job, everybody. It's great to meet you. Hi.
Now come over here, boy, Sam. And every time it rains, it rains. And don't you know it's crocodile? Every time it rains, it rains. And don't you know it's crocodile?
Santa.
Your fortune falling.
Santa.
All over town, all over town, all over town. Make sure that your umbrella is upside down and we live up. How about those hills, the white? Eagle, I'm a hungry.
Okay, I didn't know that was what it goes on to the next one. I was preparing and I was like, wait, it goes on to the next scene. Oh, whoops. Okay,
I just watched that movie this weekend while I was on the couch feeling sick. It made me very happy.
Okay, so what were some of his unexpected behaviors?
Not really friendly, they're regular people, it's like they're in New York City. Yeah.
Yeah, but how about when you hail a cab, right? When you hail a cab, do you wave to people that are hailing cabs?
No, that's what he thought they were doing.
Right, he thought that they were waving to them, right? And that was just like, because he was from a different place where that's what they do, right? So for us, and you don't always know, like, for your daughter and your son, if that's how they wake up and that's what's expected, then that might be part of why they're doing it too. So an expected behavior versus an unexpected behavior. Okay, so do you guys remember the shoe shining scene? Okay, what was he doing? And also the guy next to him, like, I'm pretty sure in New York City, you don't talk to the person that's next to you getting your shoes shined. So what was he doing? Like, he was like hitting them and talking, trying
And
to.
there was also, he was sitting right next to him and there were empty seats.
Right. Right. You don't sit like right next to somebody is what she was saying. So, was there another chat? Or am I missing that?
No.
Is there somebody else that said something?
No.
And if you guys want to unmute and talk with us, you definitely can. I mean, please feel free to just speak up if you want to. Does anybody want to say anything? No? Okay. Okay, so unexpected versus expected behaviors. Okay, so what can you all tell me? There's some examples up here, but what is an expected behavior? Like for being in the library, what's an expected behavior? Okay, so the librarian is saying no running. Okay. What's another expected behavior, Robin? She said you don't have to be quiet in the library anymore. That's nice to know. No yelling.
Wow,
But
I used to get in trouble all the time for being loud in the library.
okay, being respectful of the property and the people. So if I came in and I cleared the desk, right? If I just went up and went where they were putting the books in, I just started going, would that be an unexpected behavior? Okay, and what would you do? And that was a really great reaction. So she said, "Yeah, oh, I see you want to help. How come? Let me see you how to do that." You would probably call the police if I did that. Honestly, let's be honest. Okay, I don't think you would be quite that nice to me. Okay, because you'd think that I was like, was what? Crazy. Yeah, I was crazy. There's something wrong with me, right? If I just came in there, because you all don't expect somebody to do that. You have what? Oh, okay. Okay, and I have a game that I play when one of the questions is have you ever laughed at somebody and you shouldn't have? Okay, so can you tell me when you, like, no, maybe not you, but don't want to be too personal if you don't want to, but when is it? Okay. So she said her husband fell on the steps and she couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
He was holding a dirty diaper and he held on to it the whole time, like going down the stairs.
My daughter now, that diaper wearer is 14 and it's still wears now.
Have you ever gotten angry for somebody? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when have you gotten angry for somebody? And when I ask kids about this, like in this game that I play, that's one of the questions, like, have you ever gotten angry for somebody? And they're like, no, never. So when I start giving examples, they're like, okay, yeah, maybe. So, so what do you guys were both saying? Yeah. So when have you guys gotten mad for somebody?
My daughter can beat the living hard punch out of my son. The second that friend will get him, she will be She gets.
Yeah, so that's sibling.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm there all day long. But the second somebody else says one bad word about her, none.
Yeah. Have you guys ever laughed at when somebody spills their ice cream?
Ice cream? No.
I know I might cry, but I love myself some ice cream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, this is something that you all will have as a PowerPoint, and it makes like a nice little handout if you guys want it. You want to print it out? And it's something to show your kids, like, some unexpected behaviors versus expected behaviors. And also, how do other people feel when you act like that? And that's one of the questions to ask them. Like if I came in here and I started, clearing desks and, computers were falling on the floor, how are the people around me going to feel? Are they going to feel, are they going to feel safe? And she just said they're going to feel unsafe. So again, relate it back to the zones. Okay, so what zone would you think I was in if I came in, clearing tables? Am I going to be in the green zone? No, what am I probably in? Yeah, I'm straight up red is what she just said. Yep, I'm in the red zone. And how am I going to make everybody else in the library feel? Yeah, probably yellow, probably scared, right? Probably anxious. Definitely. It's definitely not friendly and it's definitely unusual. Okay, so now what? Okay, so we're going to reframe the behavior. So how do you view your child's behavior? And this is something that you guys might think about. So is it won't versus can't? So they just won't do it, okay? That's kind of more judgmental. Or if they can't do it, they're curious. Okay, so being kids, so this is gonna go off of Ross Green. You guys ever heard of Ross Green before? Okay, so I'm gonna go kind of back and forth a little bit. So this is Ross Green, and Dr. Ross Green has written books and holds presentations about collaborative and proactive solutions. It's a model based on challenging behavior that occurs when the demands and expectations being placed on a child exceed the child's capacity to respond so adequately. So this model focuses on identifying the skills a person is lacking and the expectations they're having difficulty meeting. So it goes back to what that woman said with teaching kids and not just saying, what do you think you should have done in that situation? Well, if they knew what it was, they probably would have done it. Not always, but probably would have done it. So, and if we go back to this again. Okay, so if we say like the adults here, he's lazy. She just wants attention, being rude. Okay, and then can't. What's getting in their way? How can I help? So kind of changing the way that we look at it. Okay, our response. Like somebody said that you would lay down with them and ask if they wanted to come over and maybe have some cuddle time and maybe wrap up in a blanket, things like that. It's a personal note. So I was upset about something a couple weeks ago, and I have these cards. I go to multiple schools, so I carry everything with me. This is what I was talking about, these cards. So I have these cards, right? They're coping cards, right? And you guys can look at them, take pictures if you want. But some of the cards say like rub something fuzzy, right? So I had a blanket, and then I had like a cold water, and I had no idea that was a coping strategy for me. But I just happened to be laying on the couch, and I just had the blanket, and I was like, oh, I think I'm starting to feel better. So trying the strategies that we're sharing with our kids actually work for us too. So rewards and punishment versus finding and removing barriers. Okay, so if the barrier is like, you had a really good point with, if you would the barrier for your son is once his medication wears off, he's done. So that. So instead of trying to reward him and punish him for doing his homework later on, you're removing that barrier and just having him do it earlier. Can you guys think of anything else? The child's experience is very different. Can you guys see it up there? It's so if you go off of the won't from the adult, you have frustration, guilt, and shame. And if you go off the can't, the child's experience is supportive and strengthened. So kind of shifting our mindset is all of them.
I'm sorry. Is the child thinking they won't, or is the child thinking they can't?
The adult's mindset. So every single one goes, so the first words are the adult's mindset. The next one is the view of the child. So it goes different, it goes down. So won't and can't aren't just for the adult. Every single one going down is the different perspectives across from it.
Well, I'm a kid. I can walk in my room, I'm overwhelmed. Where do I even start? I don't know how. So we have, you know what I'm saying?
So the parent, so you have the parent over on that side and the child over on this side.
Okay.
So the view of, so the view of the child would be willful and defiant. That's where the adult's looking at them. And then or over on here, there's too many stressors, skill deficit. And if there's a skill deficit, if a child doesn't know how to do math, what do? You teach them, right? So if they don't know how to self-regulate, you need to teach them. And in schools, especially with this whole loss of education and lots of so much through COVID, and Holly and I have talked about this before, and some of the other school social workers too, that we've seen so much loss, not just academically, but also social emotionally. And we have a lot of things. And that's why we thought that it was so important to bring this, because we really want to teach zones, because kids don't know their emotions and adults have kind of lost some of it too.
We also sometimes get personal. I have to check myself sometimes, like, he's not doing this.
Right.
It's not personal that he's not going home. Like, yeah.
I have a lot of kids that tell me when they get home that they're just exhausted.
I would be too.
Yeah.
Why don't you just go to school right now?
Yeah. And also, I thought that they weren't supposed to be getting homework. That's what I thought. Okay, so a lot of, and also if you want to look up the author Ross Green, he has Lost in School is one of his books. It's just he's a very good speaker, presenter, has some great stuff. Kids want to succeed. They want to be successful. No kid wants to be suspended and be looked at as that kid. None of them do. And when we talk to them, they don't want to do that. Okay, so we need to help them figure out what's getting in their way. What are those barriers? What skills are they lacking that we need to teach them? And if it's the scope of the problem, if that's what it is, if it's identifying those feelings, whatever it happens to be, that's our job to teach them what that is, because kids do all they can. And that's his whole premise.
Joanne, can you go back to the previous slide? We had someone in the chat ask if we could go over more how parents can help in the right column. And I just want to, I sent a reply back that we're going to get to multiple strategies in the end, but I want to make sure, is there a specific question? I think it's Miss McDonald. If you want to unmute and just ask, maybe kind of specify the question just a tad.
Hi, I think I'm in your boat with your voice as well. So
No worries.
I'm actually a school counselor at Northern High School.
Oh, okay.
And so I have a 4 and a 6-year-old, and I'm a big fan of Ross Green. I'm just really trying to work hard on how I can help support the can't side. Like, how can I help them with, I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say, but I see exactly the entire won't column, especially for, unfortunately, my high school students, but I definitely see the can't, column with my own little ones.
Mm-hmm.
So
the won't do it versus they can't do it. If they won't do it, then you're judging them because he just won't do it. He's willful, he's difficult, versus they can't do it because he's just too curious. There's too much stress. They don't have the tools, whatever it happens to be.
So it's really about reframing the adult perspective of the child's behavior and kind of resetting the explanations for why they may be behaving in the way that they are. So if we're looking at supporting that right-hand column, we've already been able to change our frame and put that frame of can't around it. And we see the child is curious. We understand that they have a lot of stressors or they may have deficits in their skills. So we're going to look to how do we reduce the stress? What are the skill deficits and how do we fill those? What are those barriers? What's getting in their way? How can I remove it or help them adjust to it? Because we can't always remove obstacles. And in the end, by doing all of that, we hope to have that more of the strengthened sense of self in the child, rather than them feeling frustrated and shamed. So I think in terms of kind of supporting that side a little bit more, it's really almost kind of asking ourselves those questions, am I looking at it from this frame? Do I think this kid is being defiant, or can I identify what it is that they're missing that I need to teach them? Sort of almost going through it like a checklist. I don't know if that helps, but
no, that actually is very helpful. I love the word reframing. I use that quite frequently.
Yeah.
I know you guys are going to send out the slideshow presentation, but I'm wondering if there's like a I love this poster right here, and then a few of the other ones that were in the PowerPoint. Could we get access to links to those, or are there attachments that we could have and like maybe even hang up?
Yeah,
I think this one right here. Yeah, we took all of them off and just put them on the PowerPoint, so they should be accessible through Ross Green's website. And I like at the bottom where it talks about stress detectives. And I try and do this with my kids at school as well as at home, that what is the stressor? Like what is going on? And also with your little guys, like, you know, is there a temperature thing? Like, are they waking up too hot, too cold? You know, like it could be like anything, like whatever that stress. And you guys are so little, being 2.5 and 4, they might not be able to verbalize that.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful.
Absolutely. Okay, Miss Gay, we need to keep watching the time.
Oh, sorry. My daughter was the same way. She didn't talk in the beginning. She's going to be a speech pathologist now. So just to give you some hope. Okay. Sorry. Okay, we were talking. Okay, so the essential function of challenging behavior is to communicate to adults that a kid doesn't possess the skills to handle certain demands in certain situations, which is why we teach self-regulation.
So that's just a way to really just reframe the behavior, right? We're looking at a way to reframe it. They're trying to communicate something to us with all of their behavior. They may not actually know what they're trying to communicate, but they are telling us something. And, you know, we can be a little detective and try to figure out what that is.
And sometimes it just takes that second to kind of let them go, let them get all of that out, and then being there for them when it comes down, so we can kind of go back and say, you know, how can we do this again? If we're going to do this again, what is that going to look like? Any questions, guys? No? Okay, the fun stuff. I'm sure you guys have, I just had a blast here. We're coming to the end of our time together. I've got, you know, a little bit left.
Okay, so we talked a little bit earlier. I mentioned the word collaboration, and we talked about co-regulation, really important components of this program. So we can break down emotional regulation into co-regulation, which is someone outside of ourselves supporting our regulation, or self-regulation, which is us doing it by ourselves on our own. And I mentioned before that we learn how to regulate when we're an infant. So that co-regulation really starts between baby and primary caregiver, right? It's the rocking, it's the soothing, it's the humming to try to calm them down. All of those things that we do that really kind of tune us into our baby and calm them down when they're feeling distress. And that, you know, that caregiver gives those consistent and safe responses when the baby's in distress, excuse me. And that creates that imprint of safe attachment and regulation skills, and it stays in their memory. And that's what forms the basis for their own self-regulation, right? So those early interactions are really important to how the child is going to learn how to regulate themselves. We have to be able to engage in co-regulation and to be able to regulate ourselves if we're going to have healthy interactions with other people, if we're going to respond to instead of react to situations and other people. What we want to try to avoid is controlling. So it's more important that we're collaborating and co-regulating with our children than trying to control and dictate what they do. So when we try to control a relationship with our kids, or try to, you know, I often hear, well, I can't make them behave. No, you can't. Nope. You really cannot make them behave, or fill in the blank. You can't make anybody do anything else, right? Even us adults. If we try to force on them a certain behavior or a certain action or a certain choice, we have then deprived them of an opportunity to soothe themselves, to make independent decisions, and to self-regulate. They're going to then learn to rely on us to solve every problem for them. They won't develop that emotional or behavioral control or the skills to deal with all the things that life might throw at them. It's hard to see your child in pain. It's hard to watch them have a tantrum. It teaches them that they can solve their own emotional distress. You are there for them. You are standing there. You are modeling. You are breathing. You are remaining calm. You are a safe presence. They are learning to bring themselves down and to regulate themselves, rather than you stepping in and trying to, you know, put them in some sort of body hold, or to negotiate and verbally talk them into another way of behaving. So allowing your child to feel some distress actually allows them to learn those independent skills instead of relying on you. And that's going to be really important as they get older.
We have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is she saying when they're in the middle of the tantrum, ignore them or go to what, like?
So what she said was when they're in the middle of a tantrum, ignore them, or when they're in the middle of a tantrum, go to them. And I think it's a little bit of both. Like if they're in a safe place and if it depends on what the tantrum is about. Also, if you're in the middle of the grocery store, you might not be able to walk away from them because that would be dangerous. But if they're home and then they're in their room and they're safe, then if you walk away from them and you're still at a safe distance where you can see them, then you'll be able to have her figure out what she needs to do to self-regulate.
What if she's in my face just screaming bloody murder?
So what if she's in my face, like screaming bloody murder? What if you walked away?
I can't. My house isn't that big for me to walk away.
Well, she's 4, she's a 4-year-old. So if she's in your face, are you down there? Down on the floor with her?
No.
Holding her?
She times it perfectly. Usually when she does it, I am breastfeeding my child. So I can't do anything.
Okay, so what she said was she usually does it when she's breastfeeding her younger child. So what do you think the reason is why she's picking to do that?
She knows I can't get up and do anything. I can't. But maybe what she's looking for from you is maybe it's a little bit of jealousy.
So somebody just said it's jealousy.
She's screaming in your face. What if you said, do you want to come up here and cuddle with us? You come on this side, he's on this side.
So, she's on this side, you come on this side, is what she's suggesting.
Yeah, go wrap him up and come up here and we'll read to the baby.
So if we go back to the reframing one, like that she won't leave me alone, she won't stop screaming, she's in my face, that it's more like, how about it, she can't, like she doesn't know, she doesn't have the skills to say, I'm so jealous right now, I'm so upset, like, yeah, and the firstborn gets slighted a little bit when the second one comes, right? So yeah, so there's a little bit of jealousy there. And how old is the baby?
3 months.
3 months. So that's a huge change in the family. So everybody's trying to figure that out and where they fit in. And you're only one person.
Also, like that, bring us up, whatever, and then maybe try to carve away, because she's a little girl, from what I hear. Carve away some mommy, whatever her name is on. 10 minutes every couple of days, just for the 2 of you. Because maybe she's missing that. Because like you said, like, and my first born is a girl, and I felt like she didn't need me. She was so independent. And now I'm realizing, now, she probably took that on as a strategy because, the boys need you to, I have my second son in special needs. So he needs mom more. I'm just going to be, but that doesn't mean she didn't need me. So don't make it be like, just because the squeaky wheel needs more oil doesn't mean the other wheels don't.
Can you guys hear this?
Yeah, most of it.
Great discussion.
Yeah,
Great
absolutely. Yeah. No, I think, point well taken. We need to go back and look at, okay, and is it that she won't or that she can't? And I love the idea, the suggestion to, give her some of that time as well, have her sit next to you, have her hold she can hold something, she can, pat the baby on the head, to engage her and involve her in that as well. But also she probably needs some individual time with mom, kind of to preempt some of that as well. So, kids need to have the rules and the guidelines and the limits. They need to know what the expectations are, and they need to understand, if I behave this way, here's the consequence for that reaction. But keep in mind, we're talking about, we've had conversations about 2-year-olds, and then we've also talked about teenagers.
Yep.
Those rules, limits, guidelines are going to be different because the 2-year-old doesn't have the same kind of strategies and skills that the teenager has, but they also may actually their emotional, their emotional development might kind of be on the same level in some ways, but they have the verbal skills are different, the processing skills are different. So
like we need to find right. So we couldn't say to the 2-year-old, I need you to make a list of the things that are bothering you, the things you need to get done today, and then we'll talk about that when you're done. Yeah, or use your words.
Like
Yeah, so I mean, so that's kind of where it would be developmentally appropriate. And what's functional? Like I have a kid who boxes and goes to the gym, which is great. That's very functional for him. It's working for him. But he can't do that when he's in school. So we need to find more, we go back to our, our coping skills cards and try and figure out something else that he can do when he's in school. Because it needs to be, it could be something that's not functional, like distractions or denial. And if you're doing that as you get older, then that's not going to work for you. But it could be something like making an action plan or seeking more information, and that would be more functional. And that developmentally appropriate is so incredibly needed, because if you do something that's out of the developmental skills that child has, then they're not going to be able to access it. And also I found that the kid, and me too, I need to come up with my own coping skills, my own strategies, because if you tell me what to do, I'm not going to implement it. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. So if you gave me a blanket and said, here, when you're upset, put this around you and rub it, I'd be like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. But if you just leave it there and I figure it out, then that might be something that works for me. And align with family values. What does that mean? That aligns with family values. What would be something that would not align with family values? Drinking away your troubles. Okay. How about also that you run out into the street? How about when you're upset that you run out naked through the neighborhood? Okay. Okay, probably would not align with family values. Okay, but we need to make sure that whatever the coping strategy that we do and that we model for our kids is aligning with what we're going to be okay with them doing, whatever that happens to be. And just like what you were talking about with your child, like if you needed a break, if you could say, I'm sorry, I need a break, I'm gonna go listen to some music, you'd probably be like, what are you doing? Right. So, and again, model to him, like, that's how I feel when you do that. Because again, we're going back to the, what do they need? Removing those obstacles. They may not need that. They may not know that. Okay. At what age do you think that a child can create a list? Yeah, like they showed the one in one of the videos that said make a list, like math, pick up clothes, brush teeth.
So my 4-year-old can do a list, it just doesn't work.
I love that. That's what I did too. So she's saying
what looks like to him, somebody brushing their teeth.
Yeah, so you can have a whiteboard, like a whiteboard, and just, and write on that, brush your teeth, pick up your clothes, come downstairs, and they can just check it off as they do it.
And you can make it a
They
picture
love
board
to
as
check
well.
things off.
I'm sorry.
Make it what?
You can make it a picture board as well for the younger kids. If they don't have the reading abilities or the writing skills, they could draw pictures of what those choices might be.
Yeah, that's what one of the other moms said. Again, I know we're getting low on time with that 15 minutes left. Okay, so we are going to fly through this. So Holly and I both went through, and these are like, there's like 3 strategies. All the 50 strategies are on here, so we're not going to go through them all. But we're each going to pick 2. Holly, I think we should just pick 1 and not talk about them very much. So mine that I said was talk about feelings and the size of the problem, but we've already talked about that, so I'm not going to go into it. So, and my other one was talk about upcoming transitions ahead of time. I think that's super important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very, very important. Okay, Go ahead, Holly. Quick.
Yeah, I think that the 2 that I would go for are the next 2 there. Validating feelings are really important. Kids need to know that you hear them and understand them. Whether or not you agree with them, it really doesn't matter, but you get them. So I understand that you're feeling really, really upset right now. And also kind of pairing that with that calm voice, and kind of going back to that, when they're, maybe even when they're in that tantrum, you're safe right now. I am here with you. When you're ready, we will talk, but you are safe right now. Just letting them know that you're there as a safe presence. I love, those 2 strategies.
Okay, so next one. Okay, so I chose have a break box available, and I printed this out, like what you should put in a break box. I don't know if you can, I think you can. Okay, so what you should put in a calm down box. If you click on this, it shows you exactly what I printed out. If you guys want to look at it here, when we send the printout out, it will take you to this. Did I lose it?
No, it's there, yeah.
Did you lose PowerPoint?
It's the bottom, the one to the right of that.
Oh, I see it back there.
The bottom right.
Go to your tabs at the top all the way over.
No.
You had it. It's from here, isn't it?
No.
Well,
Oh, you can't see them because this is in the way. Slide back. You can move the top thing of this. You can move that so you can see the tabs. Pick up and yep. Move this one.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, guys.
There we go.
Thank goodness for the library people, Robin.
I know. Thank you, Robin and Jen. My goodness.
And the other thing that I thought was having this consistent daily routine. That is very important, very, very important. I had, I was with my kids were a little very, very structured. My mom hated watching my kids because everything was so regimented. And when she watched them, I would come home and they would be a disaster because she wouldn't do it. So I think that that's important. Like, and that's what I said with the elementary school, when the schedule changes, in 2-hour early dismissals, kids are a wreck. Does not matter how old they are a wreck.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, that's all I've done.
Yeah.
10 minutes left.
Yep. So down on the other side, matching their language. We don't want to overtalk them. We want to kind of be right in there with them with the same kind of language. And we want to get on their level and see the situation from their shoes, along with validating how they feel, seeing it from their perspective helps us to shift that mindset and to reframe it from won't to can't. It gives us a little bit more empathy for them when we can see it from their perspective.
Okay. Okay, visualization says use this free poster. I'm not going to click on it because who knows when I'm going to go and be able to get back to it. But again, when you guys see this, see how all of these have little things here? Thank you, links. Thank you. First and then statements. Can anybody give me a first and then a then statement? A first, then statement.
If you finish your paper that I'm asking you to do, then we will have a final activity.
So first you finish your paper, then there's no if.
Then we'll talk about it.
Yeah. So, and what she said was first you stop yelling and then we'll talk about it. And the other time that we talked about it was when you finish doing your if you first you finish doing your homework, and if you finish doing your homework first, then we have a fun game. So take the if out of it.
Right.
And just say that, yeah. And then that way they have something to look forward to. They know what's coming next. Again, that schedule is so important.
Yeah.
I think that giving compliments is very important. I think giving compliments is very important. It's funny, especially I do it in the elementary school too, but more in the middle school, saying good morning. Like when I first started the beginning of the school year, nobody answered me. None of them. I kept doing it. And now almost all of them answer me. No.
Well, I tell my own kids, I bet there are kids who get up in the morning and get themselves ready and go to a high school, maybe even don't see anybody.
Yep.
Get on the bus with a bus driver and raise it and never actually have anybody.
Right.
Say, not everybody has mom, hey, good morning, how did you sleep? Like, don't forget you have like, so, yeah.
Yep. So did you guys hear that? Okay.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So the two that I'm going to pick on this, I'm going to pick them for a reason. Holding their hand or squishing them. This kind of gets back to, we were talking a little while ago about, some strategies work really good for some people and some not so much for others. You have to know if touch is going to be something that's going to soothe or trigger your child. And you have to be able to use it in the right situation. When they're throwing a tantrum, like the kid on the video was, not a time most likely to touch them. But it might be, depending, if you know that about your kid, that just a light touch on their back or just rubbing their back might settle them down, or just feeling that pressure of your hand on their shoulder might calm them down. So that these two are really important, I think, because physical attachment and touch is really important, but you have to know the situation and the child to make sure that it's the right thing at the right time for the right kid.
Any questions? Okay, so I think this is a really cool strategy. So this is something that you have to practice, right? So you breathe in like you're smelling a flower, and then you breathe out like you're blowing out a candle. And doing the visual, and you can use this picture, or you can just say, hey, look, we're actually a pinwheel. I have pinwheels that I use with kids too. Okay, you're saying that you're blowing in, like smell the soup, blow out your birthday candles. And it's the reason why that works is because it oxygenates your brain. So it's almost impossible to continue to be upset if you can get somebody to start doing that, like Daniel the tiger with that breathing. That's why it works for your daughter, because she's oxygenating your brain. Have you guys ever done this before? Yeah, and also if you do this, not gonna work.
No, it's gonna amp you up.
Yeah, I have kids do that and they end up like hyperventilating. Okay, so that's why you're smelling a flower. You never smell a flower fast, right? And then you blow out a candle. If you blow out a candle fast, it just goes flying across the room, right? So you don't blow it slowly. Okay, so we've given you lots of resources. Okay, and then here is a few more. Okay, so I am gonna go through these. So the zones zones online is not free. Okay, so you guys will get this, and again, you can see you can click on it. Then the social think is the one that I picked. Okay, so there's a free step-by-step guide to making your own zones of regulation check-in, if you guys wanted to do that with your kids. There's various webinars that you can view on social emotional issues, and there's also products that you can buy. So I thought this was a pretty cool website. Okay, Hallie, you may go on the next one? You got one?
Yeah, go ahead and go.
All right.
Yeah. So I do a lot of interactive games with the kids that I work with at school. And we do zones bingo, we do the factile Jeopardy. The most recent thing I found is this word wall. And it's not just zones of regulation. You can create your own templates, you can do emotions regulation, all kinds of things. Click on that second, the zones identifier game. Yeah. And then hit start. All right, this is really fun. Are we ready? Question 1. I am sad that my friend is not at school today. What zone am I in? Blue. Click on blue.
Zone are we in? They said they weren't sure. It might have been yellow. No. Mm-hmm.
Let's do one more. I'm so excited for recess today. I can't sit still. What zone am I in? This one could be controversial.
Somebody said red. Somebody said yellow. So you could be elated. You could be in red. So what do you guys want to pick? Do you guys want to do red or yellow? Red?
Yeah.
Oh, they said we were wrong.
Yeah, so they would pick yellow on that one. And I beg to differ. And that's why, you know, we have to really, lots of times what might put me in, what I may say is yellow might be red to somebody else. And lots of times those two can get a little tricky, yellow and red.
Having that conversation with them. Why was it, why do you think that they chose this versus this? And also on the zones of regulation, I didn't bring it with me, but there's a list of all of the emotions that go into that zone and having that and showing that to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa. What time is this?
Time?
All right.
Okay.
Hi, Mrs. Gatens.
You said you didn't bring the list of the emotions.
I didn't.
Yeah, very confused that just because.
All right. So does anybody have any questions that we can?
They are asking some questions.
All right.
Okay, so this is like a parent's guide to the zones of regulation is what I just brought, but it's something that you can get in the PowerPoint. There's ways to access it, but there's a template here. Right here. You guys see that? See a little chart?
Oh, yeah.
You see the chart?
Okay.
So that would be really helpful for you to say, okay, in this zone, that's some of the emotions that go with it. Yep.
There are tiny little different.
Yep, and that's why I had, when you said, I'm a rainbow. I mean, I love that. And I have kids that say, I'm like all of the emotions. And also I can be in one emotion when I get here and another emotion by the time I sit down and leave. Right. And we can fluctuate. Emotions are like, yep, we're going to email it to you. So like I said, if you registered, we have your email and we're going to make sure that you get it. But if you did not, my friend over here, then make sure I have your email before you leave and we'll make sure we get it to you.
Do all the schools use this?
No. She said, did all the schools use this? No. And last year I was at Southern full time. So I had the kids come in and I had all 4 zones up and I taught them where are you? And every single morning they would come in and put where they were. And depending on where they were, I would know whether I need to check in with them or not. So I love that. Oh, it's great. But I'm not there every day now.
For everyone to see?
Nope, so I had a sticky and their name was on this side of the sticky with the magnet and they put that on. And there I would get like this smart aleck ones that would be like, who's that? And I'm like, no. You know, yeah, so I love that. But if you're not at a school full time, you can't really do that. That's a different conversation. Any other questions for anybody in the virtual world?
Yeah, I don't see anything else in the chat.
Okay. You guys have any more questions?
Thank you all for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome. She said, thank you for doing this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is fun. We glad you. We're going to probably try and do it again in the spring.
Yep.
But it will probably be the same thing. So if you want to come again, it'll probably be the same thing. As long as the library will have us back. So much thanks to the library.
Oh my
goodness.
gosh, absolutely.
Robin and Jen, yes, and just the room, they gave it to us for free, and the technical help, I would not.
Well, and the flyer and the setup, it was absolutely excellent. Thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Your expertise. Thank you for sharing with the community.
You're welcome.
Do you guys have any particular books you recommend for parents?
She said, do we have any books that we recommend for parents? Depends on what the topic is.
Yeah.
There's
Like this sort of thing, you know,
Like they were saying, the Ross.
the Ross Green,
Those books,
Mhm.
or the other one at the beginning, or
the zones of regulation, and you probably have, do you have those zones of regulation books here? So we're asking the librarian if the zones of regulation books are here. So, and we have a couple more things in the chat I just saw.
Yeah, there were some thanks from some people. Oh, the spots. Yeah, we didn't mention the little spot of feeling, but those are
Oh,
great.
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Little spot of emotion, little spot of feeling is a great.
Yeah, they do that in the elementary schools a lot.
Yeah, it really goes hand in hand very often with zones of regulation when I'm working with kids, but you can
called
get
Little
the little spot plushies, and there's books about all the little the little spot feelings across the county. I believe all of the elementary counselors are using it in their schools in some way, shape, or form. I know my two schools are. And
I
it's
know
been
my school, my
very
elementary
successful.
school. Yeah, and I haven't, I'm just new back to the elementary school this year. I was at Southern for full-time for 3 years, so I'm kind of relearning the elementary school again. So, but they do the little spot. I forgot about that.
Yep.
Thank you for the reminder. Oh, they do not have zones of regulation.
Where is the suggestion box?
The librarian is putting the suggestion in that they're gonna get zones of regulation.
Oh, great. Yep. And the little spot of emotion too. Those would be great books to have
How
there
about little
as well.
spot of emotion? Little spot of emotion?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm only at my elementary school 2 days a week, so I haven't looked at that too much. The zones of regulation, Dr. Ross Green, that's more of a parent book. And Daniel the Tiger was a good one. I think Diary of a Wimpy Kid is really good for.
Yeah,
middle
those are good. Yeah. Miss Seidel said Color Monster is in the library.
Color Monsters. Oh, Miss Seidel said that. She's one of the library, one of the librarians.
The explosive child.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And I have all of these cards up here. If anybody wants to look at them, they're all coping skills, because I find it difficult to just say, well, what are your coping skills? And I mean, you have no idea. So you just want to know that I'm glad to get pictures or whatever you go.
You're using the library versus custom purchase. By using the library catalog with custom purchase.
I was also checking Google Live.
Yep, that's
I
good.
think we could probably stop the recording now.
Were all your books wrote on the card?
I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. That's okay?
Yeah.
Stop video?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, so you
Stop.
Nope.
share this?
Which one? Oh, stop.
You're not just gonna be showing the slide, you're gonna be showing all
Yes.
of that?
I'm sorry, I don't know how to stop the video. How do I stop the video? Pause recording, stop recording. Got it.
Yeah.